Hi, welcome back to Momarchy. If you're just hanging in, we are just hanging in there with you. So, Sarah, how's your week?
My week is going okay. And as you know, I'm taking my family and my two kids to Disneyland. My husband and I are taking them to Disneyland this weekend for the long weekend. So I'm furiously trying to pack and, just wrap work stuff up. It's going to be a short week, which is exciting. So my week is going well because it is only Wednesday, but like basically it's the end of my week. So I'm excited. Hopefully, no one will be sick. The flight will be smooth. Claire, my 18-month-old, won't be a mini monster on the plane. Yeah,
How long is the flight? It's like 2 hours, right?
it's only like 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So I think it will be okay. The flight was full though. So my husband and son are going to sit with each other. And then me and Claire are going to like sit in a random seat that they assign us. So hopefully they don't assign us a middle seat with like two random people. Yeah.
Oh, God.
But it is what it is, you know? It's like people just need to I think we talked about this at the beginning, like last summer when we first started recording, and it's like I have guilt for the people around me when I'm traveling, but I know I shouldn't. Like it is what it is.
Yeah, it's just so stressful. And I feel bad. I mean, looking back, I feel like I always was really annoyed with kids on planes, but I was always annoyed when it was like clear that the parents didn't care and like there was something to do about it. Like sometimes there was 2 summers ago when I was pregnant, my husband and I were on a flight and there was this toddler standing up on the like tray table behind him, just like screaming and like
God.
hitting his chair. And we were like, "Can you do something?" And the woman's response was, "He's two. What do you want me to do?" And we're like, "Just try. Like, try one time and see what happens."
That's like an extreme. It's the parents that are just like don't give a fuck versus the parents that are like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry my daughter's crying," even though it's like, what am I going to do about it? But then there's times when my son, God, I flew with my son. It must have been like 2 years ago. So he was like 2, maybe a little less than 2, and he was just like kicking the seat. And I felt so bad, and I was like, "Stop it, stop it." And the person, like, turned around and, like, looked at me. Anyway, I digress. So, yeah. How's your week going, Tanya?
It's fine. It's fine. It is so warm here. It was like 70 degrees on Monday, and it's February in Colorado.
It's crazy.
So, don't love it, but
The
also
snow's
love it,
coming
you know? Oh, yeah, it is isn't it
tonight,
supposed to yeah, perfect.
tonight. So, thank God. Pray for snow. It is looking bleak up here. I live at 9,000 feet, and there's barely any snow.
It's so sad, but also really nice to be outside without a coat. Would rather have the snow and know that our world isn't ending than this, but I'm gonna enjoy it while I can.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. Okay, we did want to do a little check-in on our New Year's resolutions because it is officially February, thank God. And we made it, guys. But Tanya, how are you feeling about your New Year's resolutions? Are you like, we need to start over again? It never happened, or like, we're winning?
It's possible I forgot it.
That says it all.
I'm either doing so well that I don't need to think about it or I forgot it. So I'm gonna get another one. February 16th. That's Year of the Horse, right? That's our year.
The 17th.
The 17th. Okay. I'll have another one by the 17th and we can go from there. But I think that yours is a little more productive.
I mostly just not an ad, but like I am loving my brick. It's amazing. It is like literally amazing. It is decreasing my intake on social media by a lot.
Wait, so what is a brick for those who don't know?
So it's and I talked about it in a previous episode. It's like but those of you who did not listen to that episode, go listen to it first of all. But it's like this little magnet thing. I should have like had it to show on the YouTube. The YouTube. God, I'm such an old millennial YouTube channel. You could put it on your fridge. So it's like on my fridge and there's an app on your phone and my phone will you pick the apps that you want to block at a certain time. So I have a schedule. So I have blocked YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, even though I don't go on TikTok. It's really just to block YouTube and Instagram for me. I cannot get onto those apps unless I physically take my phone and tap it on the brick, which is harder to like, if I'm upstairs going to bed, like, I'm not gonna walk downstairs and do it. So it's been great, and so I'm not on my phone really at all from 5 until the morning time. It's not the first thing I do. I've been reading a lot more. I've been a lot more present with my kids. So, I have loved it.
That's awesome.
If Brick wants to sponsor us, here we are.
Sponsor us.
It's really changed my nighttime and morning time routines in a really positive way. And hello, Wally.
Guys, this is Wally. He has been so patient next to me during so much of this recording. So he's gonna have a cameo while he'll
He's
sit
so
here. He
he's
for those
so
that
cute.
are on YouTube, here's his little face, and
He's so
he's
cute.
just a giant chihuahua. Okay, so for pop culture updates, I mean, pop culture and political stuff has just been so combined, including the Bad Bunny halftime show, which was it the most watched halftime show?
It
Okay,
was. It was. 123 million people watched it.
123 million people watched it. The Turning Point USA alternative only, whoa, I didn't know that 6 million people watched it. I thought only 4 million for some reason.
I maybe
And why did that many people watch it?
I read like 6.1 million. It was streamed on YouTube. Still, it was not in comparison to 123 million.
Yeah, it was. It was an amazing halftime show. I loved it. Our daughter was obsessed. She just stood up, she, like, bounced, she did her little, like, sway thing, she was clapping, she was trying to sing, and she, like, can't talk, so that was a lot, but he killed it. I love Bad Bunny, but he took it to the next level.
Yeah, he, I think, was great. Well, and I should back up. What I love about some artists that and the Grammys was, like, a little bit more, like, people talked about politics and Trump, like, overtly. But what I love is when artists or influencers and creators, we're gonna talk about this a little bit more in this podcast, like, use their platform to talk about politics, but in a very subtle way, and Bad Bunny did that. He was, like, celebrating Puerto Rican culture. He at the end had a bunch of flags from different countries, and then he had in the background what's more powerful than hate is love, and it was just, like, such an FU to Donald Trump, who literally thought Bad Bunny was not American, and all obviously, and, like, all the other things that have happened in the news lately that Bad Bunny has spoken out against, but I just thought it was, like, truly, like, a beautiful way to show resistance in a time when, like, he could potentially have a lot to lose, from listeners but, like, who gives a shit? Like, that's kind of, like, the vibe I got was, like, I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say like, take it or leave it. Also, I thought this was hilarious is the watch party that Trump was at had Bad Bunny on and
Oh
not
my god, that's
stupid
amazing.
Turning Point USA. It's just like, you are so ridiculous.
'Cause who would what was it? I'm trying to think of the analogy that somebody made. It was like Kid Rock is like a man who vapes in the, like, staff room at a Big O Tires or something. Like, it was something that was so specific but perfect that I was like, "God, who would watch that over that Bad Bunny masterpiece?"
And Lady Gaga and Ricky Martin. Like,
Yes.
I mean, we had Lady Gaga up there. I mean, come on.
And what's her face? Jessica Alba
Oh, yeah.
was there secretly, and so was Pedro Pascal, who I weirdly thought was I told my husband, I was like, "Jason, is that Matthew McConaughey?" And he was like, "No, it's Pedro Pascal. Why would Matthew McConaughey be there?" And I was like, "That's a great question. I don't know why Matthew McConaughey would be hanging out there." But yeah. Anyways, more sports, the Olympics. Have you been watching?
I have mixed feelings about the Winter Olympics. I definitely prefer the Summer Olympics to the Winter Olympics just because I feel like there's more events that I enjoy. There's some events for the Winter Olympics that I love. Like, I love the skiing and the snowboarding. I love the figure skating. There are some sports that I am like bobsledding and curling. I know, like,
We watched curling last night. I love it.
don't be offended by this hot take, guys. I just I don't find them interesting to watch. Last night we watched, I can't remember what it was, what the specific event was, but it was Nordic skiing. And these people are so intense. Like Nordies are a next level of an athlete. Like,
Was it the ones that, like, you start out backwards and
well, they were like running, they're like running on the snow, basically.
oh, no, those are, like, bionic people.
Oh my God. And like, it's crazy. Lander was a Nordic ski racer, at a Division 1 school, and he's, like, one of both of our good friends, but, like, I always am like, "I don't understand your athleticism." Like, he for fun will just, like, run 20 miles and, like, run up a mountain, and, like, those are the types of people that do Nordic skiing. I can't even imagine the Olympic athletes, but it was so intense. So I have a lot of respect for, like, for that. Not that I don't respect all the Olympic athletes, but some of them I'm like, "I don't know, this is just it's not interesting to watch to me," and I get kind of bored. But for the most part, like, I have really enjoyed the Olympics so far.
Yeah, and Tara Lipinski and Johnny Weir are commentators, and I think that I'm gonna get this number wrong, or I'm not. I think, though, what Johnny Weir said is that during, like, the average free skate routine that a person goes the length of 10 football fields within that amount of time,
Wow.
which, like, it's just crazy. They're so strong. They're so, so strong.
Yeah, the figure skaters are crazy. Like, we watched the short men's last night. Did you watch that? Did you happen to watch any of the
No, I was watching the curling.
You were watching the curling, so you were watching the curling. What are your take? Did you have an opinion on Ilya Millennian? I'm sorry, I'm totally butchering his name. That like 21-year-old blonde ice skater that everyone's talking about is like winning everything. The phenom. He does like flips on the ice.
It makes sense now, a lot of social media posts that I've seen about flips, but I've mostly been paying attention to that really intense American duo team, the one that had I don't know if people saw that it was like the bullfighter routine that was just mesmerizing, and then I need to watch whatever the British couple was, they did the Spice Girls skate.
Oh, I haven't seen that. I'll have to check that out. And then also Lindsey Vonn. Oh, this is like really heartbreaking and really sad. She had retired for all intents and purposes. She then was coming back, out of retirement for her last Olympics. She, I think, had like ruptured her ACL
I think that yeah.
a few weeks ago and then still was like, I'm going to compete. And then I think it was the third gate from the top, she like hit a gate and fell and got helicoptered out and broke her leg. Like, so she's out. It's so sad.
That was a nasty fall. She's, like, lucky to be alive. That was a bad spill.
Truly. And I hope she can walk again because that is like, I mean, I know we were texting about it, but like, wow. Like, that takes a lot of willpower to be like, yeah, I'm gonna like ski on a not only like am I gonna ski on a ruptured ACL, I'm gonna compete at the highest level there is. So yeah, nuts.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Something else that's nuts, I know that I just told you about this, the biathlon athlete, Sturla Lagrid, I haven't heard his name.
What country is he from?
Norway? Yeah, Norway. How during his interview after winning the bronze medal, said that he had cheated on his girlfriend, and he had told her at the beginning of the week, and that, like, it's essentially his attempt to, like, get her back, but, like, this poor woman who has just been cheated on, or at least just found out about it, is going through that. Now, like, literally the entire world knows, and there's all of these people that I was watching that it was, like, ESPN or something earlier, and by watching, I mean, it was on TV and I looked at it, and it was all of commentators, which were all dudes, being like, "Oh my god, give him a chance, like, you have to, that's so cool," and I'm like, "That's not cool, that's so embarrassing." Like, and don't pressure this poor woman who's like, "Oh my god, I met this guy 6 months ago, like, what is happening?"
Why would you admit that on national television?
I don't know. No one asked.
It's not the timing. It's just like, why do we care? Like, it'd be one thing if it was like, oh, well, the girlfriend is an Olympic athlete as well. And so we asked her, but it's like, we don't know this poor woman. Like, she's not there. She's not competing. Like, what? Yeah, no one asked you. Anyway, we did want to highlight some of the Olympians, especially in the US, that have spoken out against some of the things that are happening in the US. And I think, again, like, to what we're going to talk about in this episode, it's so impactful and important that people use their platforms to talk about how they feel. And if you don't agree with some of these people, fine. If you don't agree with us, fine. But like, use your platforms for whatever you want to do. So Chloe Kim, who is back at the Olympics, a snowboarder, US snowboarder. She has spoken out about immigration unity and spoken out against some of the things that are happening in the US. And then another person, Amber Glenn, who is an openly gay figure skater, said that it's been, and obviously, it's been a really hard time in the queer community under the Trump administration.
So then Hunter Hess, who is a freestyle skier, said that he has mixed emotions about representing the US due to current political climate, which is super fair. Here's my cat. This is just a journey of animals today. And then Trump called him a loser online, so he can join a pretty cool group of people who Trump has called a loser. So mazel tov, Hunter Hess. And then Kelly Panic, who is a hockey player, called the actions in her home state of Minnesota horrifying, which is great. Like, make sure that the globe knows what's going on. Don't sweep this under the rug. Make it as public, as loud as you can.
Just so much. Okay, before we get into our intro, because we didn't talk about Traitors last week, can we talk about Traitors?
Yes, and goodbye, Colton.
Goodbye, Colton.
Colton is no more. Spoilies.
We have spent so much time talking about Colton, and he's no longer on the show. So yeah, Colton, I am not surprised, but holy shit, Rob, like, willing to basically kill his best friend on the show to get ahead, because it also it was the best thing for Rob. Because why would Rob, everyone knows that Rob and Colton were friends. Why would Rob want to kill Colton? So it was just such a mistake. It was such a mistake by, was it Candace who ultimately decided to do it? And it was like, just think about it, Candace. You're a smart woman. Like, she shouldn't have done that, in my opinion. That's my hot take. And it was her demise.
Yeah, it was. This made me like Rob a little bit more, that he was willing to just off Colton, because I was so mad at him for Lisa Rinna. But now he got Colton out of our lives through Candace. Candace, sorry, this is me not giving a woman credit for something that she did, which she deserves credit. Candace got Colton out. The fact that Rob was like, okay, makes me like him more. And the fact that, like, literally everybody is like, anyone could be a traitor. But Rob, he's so sweet. Like,
It is, I think he's gonna win the show. Like, I just, he is so, he's so good. He's so good. And also, it all tracks because people like him, like on Love Island, he was an F-boy. He could make these women believe that they had fallen in love and that he was like so with them. But he was, first of all, a boy's boy. Like, him and what's his name? The guy from the UK on Love Island. He would like do anything. Aaron, he would do anything for him. And he was like making one woman after another, like, drop like flies. He'd just be like, oh, I'm so sad. I'm crying. Let me jump into a pool. It's like it's tracking. It's the same behavior on Traitors. Like, everyone loves Rob. We love Rob. The other thing I will give credit where credit is due, he is fucking smart. He is smart. He's like quoting Mark Twain in an interview. Like, I think he's very smart. And I think that that's why people don't take, they're like, oh, he's just such a sweet Alabama boy.
a simpleton.
A
Just throwing
simpleton.
rocks by the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a smart dude.
Yeah. And he's like so good looking. So a lot of people, like I mean, Johnny Weir was like, I can't look at him. He's so hot. Going back to Johnny Weir.
Same Johnny. All of us are like,
Johnny is like, he'll never, Johnny will never vote for him because he like is so obsessed with the way he looks.
we think that Alan Cummings also is obsessed with him, because who would it be? But like every time he walks into the tower, he's like, hmm. Like, just, like, so bashful, and he's like, "Hello, traitors."
Oh my god. Yeah, we'll see what happens, when the next episode comes out and what Eric decides to do, so he's gonna stay on, obviously, I think.
If I had an opportunity to be well, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be a traitor, 100%.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna wanna stay on the show, right? Like, totally.
Yeah.
Well, more to come soon. Loving it. Just really, really great TV. It's great TV. So today we are so excited to welcome our guest Liz Minnella to the show. Liz is a Democratic organizer, mom, digital powerhouse, redefining what it means to lead online. As the founder of Creators for Change, she trains influencers, organizers, and everyday people to use their platforms for impact, helping progressive voices turn authentically into action.
So, a lifelong advocate for women and families, Liz built her career at the intersection of politics, culture, and content creation. From managing digital campaigns to mentoring hundreds of creators across the country, she's helping a new generation of storytellers change the way that politics reaches people. So, she's known for her sharp takes. If you've followed her, you definitely understand her no nonsense humor and her commitment to community. She brings so much energy to everything she does: parenting, politics, juggling deadlines, diapers, while building a better digital democracy.
So Liz lives with her family in Chicago. She's married, has 2 kids, and she always has her phone in hand. She's proving every day that moms really are the most powerful influencers in America. That means you too. We're excited to get into it, hear all of her advice, her transition from marketing into the creator world. So grab your latte, your sparkling seltzer, your Gatorade, since it's still 6 season, so I'm still drinking, like, so many electrolytes, and let's get into it.
Welcome to the show, Liz. We're going to throw you right into it with our rapid fire section. Are you ready?
Awesome. I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, coffee or energy drink?
Coffee,
TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram, TikTok feels so unreliable these days.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, but agreed. Peloton in-person exercise class or a hot mom walk?
A hot mom walk, I think. I live near Air Force Preserve and that's my jam.
Great. And what are you watching these days, if anything, or listening to?
Okay, I just finished up Heated Rivalry like every mom in America and
Oh, mm.
Yay.
Yes, we love heated rivalry.
no notes. I had this moment. Day Alex Party was murdered. I know I always find a way to take the fun questions and make them not fun, but it was -35 in Chicago that day. So we literally like could not leave our house. So we were home with our 2 kids with like no plans to leave because why would you? And I just felt like I sat on my phone and when I wasn't on my phone, I was watching the news, like some of the few times that I ever turn on cable news. And it got to the point where at like 10 o'clock, I was like, I want to throw this thing through the wall. Like, you just keep scrolling and hoping that something will help you make sense of it. And it doesn't. And you feel worse and worse and worse. And I was like, you know what would be great right now? An edible and that show that everybody's talking about. And it made me for 2 hours, I think I binged like 3 episodes. It made me stop picking up my phone and being addicted to the, horrendous doom scroll of, our republic falling apart before our eyes. But it was a really nice break, and so if you are having one of those days, might I suggest turning on some gay hockey porn.
Yeah, yeah, hockey part. We, like, talk a lot about just, like, what we're watching, pop culture, just to, like, have a break from all the craziness, and so we have been doing updates on Traitors, on Heated Rivalry. We're big fans. This summer, it was the summer I turned pretty, that was getting us through, or last summer.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that
Sarah, the last episode that came out was when we were talking about heated rivalry and the summer I turned pretty, and how you were wondering which one showed more skin, which is clearly heated rivalry. Because,
Yeah, my husband had
like,
some words with me about
undeniably.
I yeah, I got I
although Hated Rivalry got, like, cleaner in the later episodes. like the cabin episodes, and like I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but you're like, oh, we're just okay, we're just gonna clip that there. All right. Well, and in the earlier episodes, he would have given us more.
I know. So Tanya knows this, but I'm actually on the second book. So I read the first book, Game Change, which was about Scott and Kip. I just started Heated Rivalry. I will say, like, there are so many sex scenes that it's getting to the point where I just have to, like, skip over them.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's just too like, some of them I'm like, "Okay, I know this, I wanna get to the plot again." Like, there's so much, more than the show. So,
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's funny.
anyway, still great, there's, like, more details than the show divulges, but okay, we're totally on a tangent, but a tangent that we love. Last question, one word to describe motherhood right now.
Oh, what's the perfect word to say? Like, basically, I'm not gonna be able to do it in one word. Whiplash, I guess, would be the word, right? Like, you have these moments of like so much beauty and love, and I mean, sometimes I'm like, "I can't believe I'm parenting through this," but other times I'm like, "Thank God I have this. Thank God I have this moment." We have been trying, like, all the different things I'm sure you guys know as working moms to, like, figure out a schedule and childcare, and we've landed on my one daughter stays in school for, like, until 5. My other daughter was doing a like, having a really hard time napping at school, so now I pick her up at 1. I have, like, an hour with her in the middle of my day before she loves to nap, so she then takes, like, a 3-hour nap, that she gets mad when we wake her up from. I'm like, "Great." But it's like this moment in the middle of my day, an hour where I stop consuming all of this, and I just, like, soak up a 3-year-old's joy, and it's can be hard if you have multiple kids too. They're so much nicer when you get them on their own.
Truth.
By the way, if they ever hear
Mhm.
this in the future, I'm sorry, but, like, you can they just kind of, like you really can enjoy them so much when you have that one-on-one time with one of them, and it's just every day I just reflect at what a juxtaposition it is to, like, have this moment of just, like, pure joy and happiness and love and connection, and then go back to, like, the very real fear that I feel for them and that I feel for the children in this country who are watching their parents get taken from them every single day. And, but then, like, go watch a video of a 5-year-old sitting there crying as her dad was so it's such whiplash every single day, and it's hard to make sense of.
Yeah, and you feel and there's so much guilt involved too, right? And that you just want to appreciate what you have, but then when you see those images and you're having these really tender, loving moments, it's incredible. And you just, I don't know, once you snap out of that bubble, at least for me, I feel like this should be everybody. Like, I'm lucky because of the circumstances that I'm in, and there are a lot of people right now that are living a nightmare.
Yeah, because of an accident of birth, truly. Like, I did nothing to be born at this time into a family who happened to live here, didn't need to flee a country where they weren't safe. Like, it is truly an accident of birth. It's just so hard to wrap your brain around how people don't understand that. And they think that they're like better or people deserve this or it's not their problem or or they call it toxic empathy. I love this line coming from the right. Like, they demonize that feeling, and then there's very much guilt in the other direction. Like my daughter said to me this morning, something like, if you save the world like next year, will you have like less phone calls and then you can just color with
Mm.
us? And I
Oh.
was like, and also really trying to explain that like I love doing this and I think my work is important, but also I also started this thing and I'm like, look around this house. Do you see everything in this house? We bought it. Like, how do you think hey, where do you think this comes from? So it's just kind of like grounding them in reality that like parents have to work and do things outside the home. But yeah, but I absolutely, know that if I were like still in my other career where I was just working like a sales and marketing job, I would not spend 4 nights, out of the house. I would not be on phone on the way to pick up or like drop off. It would be different. I'd have a different work life balance. But I also know that I wouldn't like be as passionate or fulfilled or as good at that thing. And I had this moment where I have a mentor who's a DNC officer, and when we were at the convention, I know her because I'm friends with her daughter, and I was sitting with her daughter at the convention, and she was up on stage, and I was just watching like how her kids looked at her, and I was like, if they ever look at me like that, this will all have been worth it because they're just amazed by her. And so I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm working for you to one day look at me like Grace looks at Virginia.
Well, and on that note, it's a great segue to like, could you talk to us a little bit about like your transition from you talked about like more or less like this corporate 9 to 5 job to what you do now?
Yeah. So I started my career in fundraising and development and have kind of been able to like draw on all of my skills and experience. I think so many times women are afraid to pivot or do something different. And because they don't feel that they have experience, but the skills and the experience that you've had maybe in other realms and other industries are are really vital for like bringing a new perspective to especially the political industry. So after working in development for nonprofits, I moved into sales and marketing. I worked for hospitality companies, real estate companies. I was there in marketing departments when influencer marketing started to become a discussion, then a fight, and then an accepted reality that the entire marketing budget was dumped into. And it was really interesting to see in a matter of months how that happened, how it went from like, what do you mean? What's an influencer? Why are we giving her a hotel room for free to get 50 of them, pay them 5 and 6-figure salary, so 6-figure like contracts. Like this is just for one, little bit of work. And because they are the ones that are driving bookings, that are driving commerce, people trust them, they have a relationship with them, and they're able to market and communicate to their audience in a way that traditional advertising has just completely waned in efficacy. So I was watching that on the brand side. I was always involved and active in politics. I would volunteer for campaigns, and my husband and I would, be active in Manhattan Young Democrats and things like that. After Trump won, we formed an organization and a PAC to kind of give our friends and family a place to plug in, whether that was through fundraising opportunities, volunteer opportunities, just gathering people together and having like salons basically to like talk about like, I cannot believe this is happening in our country right now, and kind of process this and give people like calls to action. And then in 2020, I took the millennial power pause and took a little bit of time around COVID off to stay home with my 2 kids. I had my first in 2020 and my second in 2022. And it was during that time that I was like, I'm deeply unfulfilled in my chosen career. I know that I do not have like the give a shit to sustain staying in this industry and like continuing to earn and accelerate at the pace that I want for myself. Like I want to love my career and work really hard. And I just don't care enough to be all that I know I could be. But I do care deeply about our political system and about getting people involved. And so I've kind of spent the last 4 or 5 years trying to figure out what that looks like. I started in 2022. I turned my Instagram public after the Uvalde shooting because I wanted to tweet at my senators and I wanted them to be able or like at my senators and have them be able to see it. And that turned into kind of accidentally running an influencer campaign, sending lifestyle influencers, the content of political influencers that was for the purpose of driving calls to senators where we needed them to sign on to the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, and it like worked instantly. It was crazy. Like I would see Jessica Yellen and Emily in your phone and people like that post, "Hey, we need people in Texas to call their senators," but their audience is limited and saturated, and like they've done what they're going to do. But then I looked at somebody like Things I Bought and Liked, who had this giant Texas audience. What if she posted these instructions? And she did. And an hour later, John Cornyn walks into Cory Booker's office. It's like it was instantaneous. Same thing. Then it was like, well, Booker's like, can you get Lindsey Graham? I'm like, yeah, we know. Have you ever heard of Grace Atwood? She posts instantly. That senator walks. It was like insane. I knew nothing about how this worked, and I was like, "Oh, this must be how politics works," that just wins, and it's not. Spoiler alert. And then I kind of had that framework. Then there was a mass shooting a few minutes from my hometown in Highland Park at a 4th of July parade. And I just kind of took the same framework, but this time because it was state level legislation, I didn't have a big political influencer like Jessica Yellen making the content and making the instructions. So I made it. And then I sent it to lifestyle influencers. And it took a lot longer, but the same thing worked. And we were able to hold state legislators accountable in a way that no local press or advocates had been able to, and they were all like, "What the fuck?" And it was really successful. We banned assault weapons in Illinois, and I continue to use my platform to fundraise, to resource other creators, to help campaigns and organizations understand how to work in this new media environment, how to develop a creator strategy, and really view people that are advocating and talking online about politics as what they are, like advocates, cheerleaders. They are not the press. They are a lot more like donors. It's a really interesting, messy space right now, but it is that way because this is going to be the vehicle that political persuasion happens for the next several cycles. And then it'll be something else and we'll be the dinosaurs. But this is the way it's going, so everybody needs to get on board.
I don't know, Sarah, if you've experienced this in campaigns the last few years, but that shift has been really tangible between interacting with influencers and doing like traditional media where it's just a candidate, an issue, posting from their account that has 17 followers, half of them are their family, and we're like, oh good, like we did our post of the day, and folding in people that have millions of followers. And I think that that's awesome and something that we're kind of along the same vein of, these worlds shouldn't be separate because the worlds aren't separate. Like, it impacts all of us. There's no reason that that outdoor rec influencer shouldn't be involved in environmental legislation. And so that's really cool to just hear how much you organize actually around that.
Yeah, and I think it very much, especially in the 24 cycle, was like largely ignored. I started raising for the Biden campaign in 2023 and continued on in 24. I organized that big white women answer the call with Shannon Watts and Dr. Annie Andrews, who's running for Senate in South Carolina and is going to beat Lindsey Graham. And we raised $11 million in 2 hours. It was like this incredible energy that we activated because of people who had large online followings. We then went to the campaign, went to the DNC, who I was like very enmeshed in, and we're like, you see what we did? This isn't just a tactic to raise money. This is a tactic to reach and persuade voters. And they were like, nah, we're going to keep making phone calls and knocking doors. And I was like, you're gonna fucking lose. And we did. And now we need a recalibration. We are definitely in the messy middle. I think people understand that the old tactics don't work and they need new ones, but the figuring out what that looks like, what the rules, norms, and ways to get there, it's been interesting to be a part of and to watch.
Well, and we talk a lot about like the Maha movement and is like one reason why we wanted to start this podcast. Obviously, we are very entrenched in the like political industry and the ecosystem, and we saw this issue, right? Where it's like, well, I'm a mom and I'm online and I'm constantly being served things by people in Boulder, Colorado that then after the election came out saying, I'm so excited about RFK. These are like longtime people that I've been following and like purchase things from them, right? Like I'm a big fan of like, that's how they make their living. I'll purchase something from you if I like what you're putting out there. And it was this like realization that mom influencers in particular are this huge powerhouse. And so I know that you talk a little bit about this in your work. So, like, why do you think mom influencers are often more trusted than like your traditional political voices?
So I think we've seen so many different types of voices pop up. They all have different use cases and different levels of things that they're really good at. As I kind of mentioned, those lifestyle influencers are incredible at reaching typically non-activated, non-political, non-activated audience and driving them to take action like with very clear, simple instructions. Call your representative and say this about this bill. I think political influencers drive culture, they drive norms, they shift the Overton window, they set the agenda, they inform people. They make the vibes of the internet, and we've definitely seen this on the right, and we're starting to see this take shape on the left. Um, and then I think there's this other bucket that is often ignored, which is the micro influencers, geographic influencers. And in my experience, they are typically moms. So as I started in the gun violence prevention space, I started seeing many accounts pop up, the people who had followed Emily in your phone and really her type of organizing and um, just her call to action that everybody could get involved and make a difference in your local community. All politics is local. Like, this is what we need. Ken Martin at the DNC talks about this a lot, that like everyone's waiting for this big figure to come in and have this like top down save us. Unfortunately, I don't think that's how this is going to happen. It's going to be like running a Democrat everywhere, even in seats where they can't win. Like, it is very bottom up. And these mom influencers in these states are doing that work. They're tracking their state ledge, and they're also communicating to their audience about the things that resonate with them. Like, this was something I would say over and over in my marketing department in hospitality. If you want a 26-year-old woman to fly to Bermuda and come to this hotel and spend money at this restaurant, show a 26-year-old woman flying from New York City, coming to this hotel and spending money at this restaurant. So when you see an influencer who cares about the same things you care about, who's struggling with the same things you struggle with, is wondering why in Illinois we don't have universal pre-K, why they were able to pass it in 2 weeks in New York City, like, that resonates with people. We know how to we essentially are marketing them ideas, right? And things to care about and get involved with. And instead of asking them to buy a product, we're asking them to call their legislators or elect better ones. And our reason for our sales proposition to them resonates because we have the same experience. And I think it's just like this really universal truth that like you are better at selling like what you know and what is your own personal experience. And I think for in so many election cycles, everyone is so focused on, we have to get the moms, we have to get the like middle-aged white women, and no one is ever really communicating with them or talking about the topics that they actually care about. They're like, it's always just like, well, how do we market to them? How do we, it's talked around, but nobody is like, well, you could maybe pass legislation that impact their lives and make it better. And like it or not, Maha did that. They hit on something that was a very real fear and like every single day issue in the lives of many moms. I always use the example of like, if you're a mom with a kid who has, terrible eczema, you've gone to the pediatrician, they've referred you to a specialist, and you were told you can see them in 6 months. I have so many different stories of so many different types of, and these are like, this is like good insurance. And I see this I don't live in a rural area. Like there are doctors and hospitals everywhere. And it's, if you want to see a specialist, it's 6 months. And so what you do in that 6 months when your child is suffering is you go on the internet and you start to look for
Mhm.
help. And when there is someone who looks like you and talks like you and seems to have the same problems with you and shares the solutions that worked for them, that are maybe not necessarily evidence-based or science-backed, but are reflective of the frustrations that you're feeling that are very real and absolutely right. Um, and sometimes it works, it doesn't work. If it does work, then now you've developed this enormous trust and parasocial relationship with this person. So a couple months later, when they tell you to vote for Donald Trump because he'll make America healthy again, they didn't really have to explain policy. They had won this person's trust. They had won they had proven to them that they have their best interest. They were like, here, do these whatever oatmeal baths and take this supplement, by the way, that I'm selling and make a commission on. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't. Especially if it did, you will now buy anything that that person sells because the problem you had of your child suffering has been positively impacted by this person. And so, yeah, then when they tell you who to vote for, they listen. And by and large, we are talking about non-college educated women. We are talking about people who were not taught critical thinking skills. And that is not a judgment. That is not like I'm this like elite and I had too much education and I can, that is just reality. Like I've seen the data. Non-college educated women, 6 points to the right. College educated women, 4 points to the left. I'll take credit on the 4 points to the left, but we completely ignored the difference in how people receive information and are persuaded and who they listen to and trust. We were like, shouldn't they just listen to Kamala Harris and her surrogates talk about abortion access? No, that's not what was impacting their lives. That's not what was going to move them and persuade them. It was the influencer who helped them figure out a homeopathic remedy for their kids' eczema. And yes, then they convinced them who to vote for president. And anybody over the age of 55 that's listening to this is like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not. I wish that weren't the case. I wish that person had a better way of sussing out information and making decisions, had more people to talk to in her community and bounce ideas off of, but she doesn't. This is how she made her decision on who to vote for president. And instead of just screaming that that's crazy, we just need to understand that that's the reality, and we need to start marketing to her differently ahead of 28 and 26.
Yeah. Political campaigns in general need to just be completely revamped in a lot of stuff that we do. And it's interesting you talk about the college education portion, because I think that what a lot of people don't think about is who staffs political campaigns and who is in that. And it's people who can afford to have an unpaid internship during a summer, who, have parents to live with. So when they're paid like crap, they're able to live at home and be an organizer. And then, they have a leg up, they have experience, and they don't know the issues that other people are talking about. And so it's really easy for us. And like, I include myself in that of, I was afforded those luxuries. And there are a lot of issues that are very important to me. There are a lot of issues that I haven't experienced firsthand, and I'm probably not the best person to communicate that. And so, yeah, it's great that, do you think that politicians and campaigns are starting to understand the power of digital moms?
Yes, I think so. I think that you kind of hit what's at the core of this issue is that Republicans were very happy to cede the messaging out to other people and let it be decentralized. Like, Donald Trump didn't need to control every part of his message. It was like, if the Maha moms want to say I'm this to convince their audience to vote for me, like, fine. Like, we have such tight control on like who can be a messenger around this campaign.
And people are vetted, and you're like, you say one thing that doesn't fit in the Democratic, value system, and, sorry, you're not gonna work for this candidate because it's gonna be a liability. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but I'm totally yeah.
That's exactly right. And the way Republicans pick people that are allowed to communicate and convince people in their ecosystem is they're like, do you garner attention? Do people pay attention to you? And that's if the answer is yes, like, welcome aboard. Find some piece of this campaign that will resonate with your audience and get them. Like, we don't care what the tactics are. But on the Democrat side, we very much do. They do not want to relinquish control. I've talked to, I mean, probably a dozen Senate candidates, dozens of House candidates. I've talked to people that likely will run for president in 2028, and it's just like this does not sound like a good idea.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that Democrats are so hesitant to get on board?
They want control. Like, it just feels so out of control for them. Like, what do you mean we're going to either pay or allow? Like, I've even we went with like the all campaigns should pay creators. Oh my God. Like, absolutely not. And then like, what about just allowing digital organizing? How about that? Like, allowing people to be equipped with the resources and the like permission necessary to go message to their digital audience, both online and in person. Like, I tell every person, talk about these candidates online, but also be open canvassing. Have like a QR code on your phone where you can link to the candidate's website. You can link to where to get your ballot, where to early vote, all these things. So like, it is both. It's both. At its core, like we're finding people more organizing online, but we're doing stuff in person and things that are more effective than door knocking and phone banking. I think open canvassing, I think like encouraging people to like get into groups and have like more in-person community conversations are all things that campaigns should actually be focused on, like showing up in spaces where voters are. But it's like, if I can't guarantee that they're all, Illinois 7 voters, like, why would I show up there? What? Like, they're not going to answer the door. Why would you show up there? And show that you're in their spaces. I think we've gotten like way too narrow in the way that we campaign, and we want a lot of control. And listen, yeah, you are giving up control, and I think we can, if anybody is following, it's incredibly niche, but if anybody's following the Texas influencer drama, around those 2 primary campaigns, you're like, "Well, this is exactly what they're afraid of." So it was basically like influencers have been like, it started with one influencer who's, like, out of state, going, like, really hard for James Tellerico and, like, being really shitty and bullying, like, mostly women of color, like, with audiences big and small, and people are like, "Are you doing this on behalf of the Tallarico campaign? Because this is not, doesn't seem in line with his value system at the very least." And then it just kinda spurred from there, from, like, okay, then one creator shares a conversation that they had with the Tellerico campaign, who's now endorsing Crockett, and, it really has just, like, spiraled. And then also now we're at the point in this controversy where people are like, "Oh, you can talk about this online and you can get likes and clicks. So why don't I have a hot take on this?" So now like every person, whether they live in Texas or not, feels the need to speak on it. And I just, if anybody follows Civic Sage, she's like a big political influencer in Texas. She said when she first kind of watched it unfold, she was like, "Guys, they're not gonna let us play anymore. Like, don't do this. They're gonna be so terrified of, influencers causing problems." And I think what this really shows is that it's not that you need to ignore it because it's messy. You need to have a strategy. And right now, all campaigns, the only thing they have are tactics. Sometimes they hire a person to be like the creator liaison, or they hire like a social person to create really compelling content, or they try to book themselves like on a ton of podcasts. Those are tactics. They do not exist in a vacuum. You need to have a larger, well thought out, well funded strategy for the internet. And it includes your self run accounts, going on lots of podcasts, running digital ads at a much higher rate than you're running broadcasting cable, employing trusted messengers, activating and putting yourself out there when there is trending topics happening online and speaking on that, even if it wasn't necessarily part of what your consultant told you to talk about during this event and or this campaign. But if it's on the internet and it's dominating, you need to talk about it. Getting key endorsers and like big people who do have larger audiences. So you need those like micro influencers and those macro influencers, and then having like a really good rapid response strategy set up so that if there is problems that are either generated by influencers or those trusted messengers or just in general in your campaign, or if something goes wrong in your opponent's campaign, like you are ready with a strategy to have it dominate the internet. And that should be like the first thing you do when you decide to run for office. It cannot be, I've seen people hire influencer people who are like working in the creator space with 1 day left to go, and like have some influencers make content about it, and it's like it's not how this works. And it's usually because they've had like some late money come in, they understand it was important, the tons of money that they dumped into broadcasting cable, they've saw no return on investment, it hasn't moved the needle, it hasn't moved polling, and they're freaking out. And so let's try this with 24 hours left, and it's just like, no, this should be the first thing. It's completely changing. But of course, the people who are in decision-making positions do not want to let go of the status quo. And so, it's like turning a cruise ship.
The Texas stuff that you talked about is really interesting, and it's something that candidates see all across the country is influencers from out of state or out of district trying to impact races in states that they don't live in. And so this is, presidential campaign aside, anything like that. And it's, there's pros and cons because you're getting national attention and it's important for everybody. But then there's a lot of very loud voices and a lot of support coming from people who have no idea what the people of the district need, what, they actually want what's going on in education, healthcare. They're just seeing this one person who's popular online and support that. So what do you like one, what do you think of that? And is that dangerous? Like, what should we do when those candidates emerge?
I see this actually in my own district. So I live in Illinois 9. We have a race coming up that is like basically 3 candidates. One is like essentially a Republican, funded by Republican donors and APAC, and it's just like extremely dangerous. Then we have a great candidate who is like embodies all progressive values, has a like what I believe is a correct and nuanced take on many of the issues dividing our party. Then we have like a leftist. Um, had referred to her as an influencer, and then I just saw her go on a podcast and be like, "I'm a journalist." So she's a journalist, and it was like very disparaging towards influencers, because journalists have different limitations too. Like at the end of the day, you are supposed to be completely unbiased, and it many times in like politics, it is probably not the right move, or you're very limited by not being able to say what's right and wrong. There's so much right now that is right and wrong, but if that is like incorporated into your content as a journalist, then aren't you technically biased? So that all aside, I see this person, her name is Kat Abu-Ghazali. She moved here to run for this seat, and it's like we need young people like running in seats in this party, but like what about races where there is no Democrat running? Like, what about being able to flip a seat in Texas? She moved from Texas, like, stay in Texas. And so, and then obviously she's a large out of state audience who are super invested in this race and super invested in her winning and saying things like, if you want to see change, vote for Kat. The person currently holding this seat, her name is Jan Schakowsky. She's like a progressive icon. She passed the ACA. I like wrote my 4th grade book report on this woman. Like she's one of the first women elected, like when there were not a lot of women elected to Congress in the 90s, which also that gives you an idea. She stayed for a while. But that aside, we don't actually want change. We're very happy with the incredibly progressive representative that we have people who are fighting for things like it's just so funny when somebody on the left is like calling a person who is fighting like who wants like universal basic income, universal health care, like extreme progressive policies. It's just like people should be able to like live and not die and have their children taken care of. But that is centrist. That's not centrist. Like we are very happy with the things that this representative has fought for and done and has been part of this community. So it's just like I hear all these people online saying like, and then she endorsed Daniel Biss, who's kind of, I guess we're going to call him the center candidate, although he is like extremely left, extremely progressive. She endorsed him. And when she did, all these people online were like, more of the same, more of the political establishment. Like we are actually the anti-establishment. Have you ever, like, I watched the C-SPAN hearings where Jan is screaming at people. She's gotten like booed off of stages because she stood by her progressive values. Like it would literally be like somebody saying that like Bernie isn't far left enough. And it's like just because it's not your guy, like you don't know, you don't live here, you haven't watched them fight for this. You don't live in this district, you're not part of this community. And so these are her kind of like ambassadors. And yeah, it can go absolutely wrong. I liken it very much to getting out of state money. So we see with the other candidate in this race, Laura Fine, she's gotten a ton of out of state money. She has raised more money from Trump donors than she has from people in this district.
Wow.
All of her money, because nobody here wants to give her any money. Like even people who have in Chicagoland area given to APAC before, they aren't even giving to her. Like that just goes to show you how unpopular she is here and why she has to go out of state to get her money. And it's just it should be viewed the same way. And there is tons of content and news coverage about the way that she's running her campaign, who's pulling strings, and the type of people that are wanting to put her into this seat, and how it is all people from out of state. And I'm happy to see that, but I'm also kind of like, yeah, it's the same when somebody moves from another place and they have this giant audience that is working very hard to put them in this seat as well. And the answer to that is you have to be engaged and organized in your community. You have to be, even if you have 700 followers, but they all live in your community, you are more powerful than those out of state donors and that influencer, I'm sorry, journalist with, hundreds of thousands of followers. Like, if you have an audience of even just a couple dozen people that follow you and are activated by you, if you've organized in your community, you can beat those out of state interests and you can hopefully, we'll see on March 18th, I'll let you guys know, uh, convince people to come out and vote and organize and donate to the candidate that you think is most likely to represent the best interests of this district, not out of state donors, not out of state followers or doing things to just kind of like be the next AOC, get herself on the cover of Vogue. Get in there and legislate for me. I put you there. My tax dollars pay you. You need to have me, the person in the district, as like your number one priority.
And I think that's important for people who are listening when they are donating, like right now, who are donating to people from out of district, and to think about like when people are hearing messages about whoever is running, and this happens, a lot on either extreme for each candidate, that like money will flood in from elsewhere and you're not getting proper information. You just aren't sure what's going on. And like there are a lot of people that hold your values, that want what you want living in that district. And like it can go both ways. That's where you can find something online who is somebody saying, no, I live here. This is what we need. Like, why aren't you listening to us?
Yeah.
And that's powerful, and the noise from out of state can feel very overwhelming. When I make content about this race, I have very loud people, who are excited about this kind of, like, internet personality, and then I have literally, like, the APAC lobby, and both can be intimidating, but, like, I know my values, I'm grounded in the fact that I believe that I'm doing the best thing for my community and that the votes will show.
Yeah. And Liz, I'm this is super interesting. Thank you. We'll get into some more fun stuff soon. I'm curious because, we also as podcast hosts, we are working on like we have a large following on the podcast, not necessarily online. It is we have even found just from like a personal standpoint, like it is exhausting to be continuously like putting stuff online, like posting stories and being consistent and putting up reels. And so we feel that. And so I'm wondering if you can speak to that for other listeners too, or moms or parents or people that are just like, well, I have opinions. I want to show my values online. Like, but it feels either A, scary, or B, like they've tried it and it's exhausting or like mentally exhausting because of all the things, the news cycle and just the sheer time that it takes. So what advice do you have for people that may want to start doing this creator work online?
Yeah, I think you have to kind of come at it from like what feels really organic for you to talk about, what pace feels organic, what style of communication or way that you're talking, or platform that you're on. Like, what can you not wait to post about? Like, oftentimes people are like, should I be on Blue Sky? Should I be on TikTok? You should be on the app that you spend the most time on, that you like feel like you understand the vibe, the vernacular, the cadence, the content of best, because then you will be the best at making that type of content that does well because you know it. And as far as like, I also feel like I'm not Erin Parnas. I'm not breaking news. Like I do not have a scheduled show that I have to like. Rachel Maddow has to make sure she has content to fill a 30-minute block every single day, 5 days a week. And so sometimes some of the stuff she talks about is compelling, and maybe sometimes it's not as compelling because she really is just trying to fill 30 minutes. Like, you don't have that. And that's why this type of segmented new media is overtaking every other type of media because it feels more organic, because it is. So like just really grounding your content in like, what do I want to talk about? Never make a video because you feel like you have to, because you feel like you have to talk about this topic or you have to have an opinion on it. Even right now, like everything coming out with the Epstein files, tons of content about it. Horrendous, terrifying, disgusting. I'm like, I don't feel like I have a new take on it. Like, like put these people in jail. Like, and everybody is saying that. So I feel like there's so many times where people are like, oh, well, I must cover everything. And I just don't think there's anything that I would say that differentiates me from any other content creator. And like, I mean, I share things, repost things, talk about it, but I don't feel like I'm not a journalist who's been assigned to that story to talk about it. And also just I can't like I follow a lot of Sammy Sage's content on this. She reads every single Epstein file. She has like a web of how this relates this to this kind of like transnational gang. She relates it to like how foreign adversaries are involved. Like she has webbed this thing out and she has incredible content on it. When I go to like deep dive and find the information that I typically would like the level of involvement and like education that I normally would like want in order to make content on something, like I'm fucking sick to my stomach. Like it's just I can't. So and I think when you force yourself to do things that don't feel organic, you get burnt out easier. Whereas like I love to make content about what our digital ecosystem looks like. I'm very invested in the races right now in Illinois. And it's like you're not being graded. No one's gonna be like, didn't make enough content about Epstein. Bad Democratic influencer. Like if somebody doesn't like that or wants you to talk about it, hear from your audience. What do you specifically want me to talk about? Have an organic conversation that then might spur a video that is going to like resonate and land with people. So, take feedback, but I feel like allow it to look like the inside of your brain and sharing that. Like I think that's really what resonates with people is they feel like they can listen to someone have a perspective on something. It's so human what we're doing on the internet. It is what the town square was made for. We're talking and we're processing information. And just like in the town square or when you have a community meeting, there are some people who talk more and there are some people who listen more. And there are folks that are going to come and make a presentation and be the organizer. Like everybody kind of has their role, whether you're an observer, you're commenting, you're DMing, you're watching, you're sharing with friends, or you're making this content. Like this is what we were meant to do. It's how the human brain was meant to process information. Is to like form relationships, align with people that they trust and who they feel have similar values as them and have those people help them make sense of our very complicated world. So I think like more is more. Just start. Don't feel like you have to check every box. I think so many times the people who do this are type A women, and we feel like we have to do it exactly right, and we have to have like a plan, and we have to have our Substack come out every Thursday. And I just like I don't do that. Like communicate and I share things when they matter most. And like so I'm not you're not going to have like superfluous fluff content from me that is doesn't feel like organically something that I have to talk about right now. I have to tell you this and I have to tell you what it means, how it feels for me, how I think it relates to other things going on. And I feel like that authenticity and that urgency and the fact that you're not just getting like content for content's sake, I think is more compelling to a viewer.
Thank you. That's incredibly helpful. I know this is something that we talk about a lot. So it is really impactful to just hear from you and your experience and that like it doesn't have to be scary, just start. I love that advice. Like I think that is I mean, it's like going to the gym, right? The hardest part is showing up. And then once you do, like it becomes easier. Okay, so going into our fun next segment, it's called Millennial Mom version, but we're calling it Hot or Not edition. So quick reactions, no explanations required unless you want to. And we'll just go over a series of Hot or Not. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Group texts with other moms, hot or not?
Hot.
Letting your kid use an iPad at a restaurant, hot or not?
Don't like to judge other moms. I think it depends on the age. Try to do everything else first, but then yeah, I do it.
Political memes as a form of activism?
Not hot. I recently have gotten into Threads. I don't know if you guys do Threads. It's toxic. The algorithm is awful. It like makes it feel like somebody who has like 5 followers is like dominating conversation and that their ideas are everywhere when they're not because it's like served to you first. And people in Threads, when you like make a cogent, well documented argument, will just respond to you in a GIF, in a GIF, whatever it is, in a meme. I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. This is this real? Okay, I'm sorry. Not hot.
I never actually went onto Threads. I don't know if you did, Tanya.
I
Bad. Don't go there.
I think that I did, like, right when it came out because I was like, "Ooh, take that, Elon Musk." But I said, like, 1 or 2 things, and now it pops up on Instagram, though, because that's integrated, right? Where it'll be like, "You might be interested in this Threads post," and I always click on it, and it always goes to Threads, and I'm like, but I don't wanna be here."
I don't wanna be here. I was literally up until 2 a.m. last night. No, like, publicly comment warring, ratioing, I've learned this term myself, which is when there's, like, more comments than there are likes. Because I'm commenting on my own I'm like, "What this person is probably a fucking Russian bot. Like, what am I doing?" And I tried to say, like, whatever platform, like, resonates with you the most. It shouldn't be Threads, and TikTok is weird. I feel like Instagram is the right level of, like, getting involved. You're gonna be able to find your people, find your audience. It's also very hard to find you from, like, a weird people in your town security standpoint. Like, you can't just go on Instagram and type in, like, "Are there any, Democrat influencers living in my town that I might wanna go on and be weird to?" Like, you can't find somebody like that. Like, it's more like when I post about, my area and things like that. But, yeah, I think Instagram is, like, the safest place to start.
Yeah, I think we agree. We have experienced a few. We had a whole episode last week about some of our trolls on YouTube. That's really fun.
Oh, yeah. I also hate YouTube.
YouTube is we're on YouTube and
But it's number 1. It's the biggest one. So,
I know we made the jump. We were on Instagram. We were like, okay, we're gonna do YouTube, and we like have built a following, but also we have a lot of trolls that all happen to be men with like profile basically zero profile pictures.
like, that's what it is. It is always faceless men, and I'm just like, "I'm out here with my face, my job, essentially my location. Like, I'm out here with my full chest saying this, and you are hiding behind literal GIFs." And, it is just you're not at the level. Again, if you were in the town square, would you respond to, like, "Oh, somebody has given this, like, pre-tape recorded message and they want you to argue with it." You'd be like, "No, get yourself fucking here in the town square and debate me, but, like, really show up."
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, matching family outfits, hot or not?
Coordinated, hot.
Okay. Posting your kids on social media.
I mean, it's tough because especially as a mom influencer, like, that's what you're fighting for, and that humanizes you. So I kinda go back and forth on it.
That is very fair. Think you know your answer here. Influencers talking about politics.
Hot.
School fundraisers that feel like full-time jobs.
Oh my god, I have so much to say about this, but not hot.
Yeah, we could have a whole episode about school fundraisers.
And the people who take it so seriously and, like, make it their entire personalities. There was, like, so much drama, and my preschool, like, a mom tried to plan a fundraiser, very low lift, like, go bowling, and another mom had a absolute meltdown because, like, she's not allowed to plan fundraisers. Like, "What are you talking about? Anybody's allowed to plan fundraisers."
It's a volunteer job.
They need a mud kitchen, like, this is not your probably need an actual job if, like, you're that territorial about it. But also in my town, the fundraisers, like, they are very I mean, this was just, like, a little preschool thing, but, like, the high school, the grade school, there's, like, a variety show.
Wow.
Then the parents learn, like, choreography. It, like, takes over people's lives.
Oh my God.
The high schools, like, they shut down entire wings of the high schools for weeks, if not months, to, like, decorate it for the fundraiser, and I'm always just like, "Is this necessary?"
Wow.
I'm a fundraiser, there are more effective ways to fundraise, sorry.
Yeah, there's more like efficient and easy ways. I totally agree. We could have a whole segment about school fundraisers. Okay, last one. Brand deals for mom creators, hot or not?
Yeah, hot, pay women for work.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Okay, that really sums up our show, Liz. We really appreciate you having you on and sharing your experiences with our listeners. I don't know if you have any last thoughts for everyone, but we just love what you're doing. Like I said, I've been a fan from afar for a long time, and I think what you're doing is super impactful, and I wish more people were doing it out there, and hopefully there will be.
Yes, I hope that people are, like, inspired to start, like, sharing your values and making social change is, like, truly the most impactful thing you can do. Think about what your, like, gifts and skills and talents are and how only uniquely you can impact social change and move us out of this period of time. And I think it does feel really dark right now. Every, like, 80 to 100 years, democracies go through stress tests, and we are in the eye of the hurricane with this one, but it's the people who step up and do the work and are, like, putting themselves out there and, putting their ideas and organizing and talking and making a difference that become the architects for, like, the next phase of democracy. Clearly, everything is breaking. The world order is literally falling as evidenced by, all the people in the Epstein files, and something will be built in its place. And you have a phone and an opinion and an education, and, like, you are worthy of being an architect. You are an architect. Get in there.
Thank you. That's really inspiring, and I'm sure that people will take it to heart when they're listening to this. It's always good to hear that there are more ways than people tell you traditionally to get involved and to get your voice out there. So everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you don't follow us already, you should at Mamarchy Podcast on Instagram. We are also on YouTube and Substack. So check us out there. If you have anything to comment or say, you can also email us mamarchypodcast@gmail.com. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, ladies. Bye.
Bye.